Hey everybody, TragicMike here again with something a little bit different today. This is probably going to be the beginning of a series for me, I hope, where I look at strange game mechanics and play around with things that most people don't, I guess. It's just something that I'm interested in and have a lot of fun finding new ways to do things in this game. And on that note, somebody in the Alliance sent me this. It's actually been a while ago now, and I've been so busy with other things that I haven't been able to do a proper video on it. And honestly, this is still not going to be the video that I want to make, but it's going to go over the basics. So if we look at this, it's a Reddit post in which they are talking about combining Sethalia healing with Ironclad's passive. So the question that I was asked is basically, is this possible? And I said, probably. Um, because Ironclad is somebody that I had messed around with as I was leveling up. So I knew how he worked. I knew basically how he worked. And this doesn't seem too out of line to me. Uh, there are a couple things I want to point out. First of all, I'm not sure that this percentage is correct. I think he may be adding the bonuses instead of multiplying the bonuses. I'm not 100% sure there, and honestly, I'm not going to worry about that for this video. 100,000 HP is possible on Ironclad, but it wouldn't be easy. And that would have to be done without speed boots, I think, which may be important, and you'll see why in a minute. Last thing to note here is this damage is not pure damage. I am not sure whether or not armor affects it. That's something we will try to discover in this video, but I do know that affinity matters. So it's not pure damage. It's not going to do the same amount of damage to everybody every time. Um, Once again, you will see that in just a minute as we go through this. So let me show you what I have set up so far. All right, for those who are not familiar with Sethalia and Ironclad, first of all, this is the Sethalia that I'm working with. She's not set up great. Not a big deal. One thing I do need to mention is that she is not booked. Not booked enough for it to matter, at least. She's getting an extra 5% here. We're just going to pretend that doesn't exist. She does not have any masteries, but this skill is the main one that we're going to be focusing on, and that heals an ally by 75% of their max health. It also now heals all other allies by 20% of their max health if the target is fully healed. So that's one of the main focuses. Now here's the other. Ironclad, when healed, will attack all enemies, inflicting damage proportional to any surplus heal. Damage inflicted is equal to 50% of the surplus heal. So this particular Ironclad is set up with 41,000 health. We're going to call that 40. Okay? So every time Sethalia heals him, she's healing for 30,000. Now, with this passive, if he is at full health, when she heals him for 30,000, it should deal 15,000 damage to every enemy. And you will see that that is pretty much the case. So that's how Sethalia and Ironclad are set up. I actually have two more Ironclads down here. They are only at level 40, but you'll see that I have some gear on them. They are both right at 20,000 health. Okay, so Sethalia healing them is 15,000 instead of 30,000. Now, you'll see that the crit rate on this one is 91%. The crit rate on this one is only 25. I pumped crit damage. I actually know from messing around with this that crit rate does matter, and I'm going to try to see if crit damage matters. I think the best place to play around with this is going to be Spider. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go into stage 3 Spider here. You'll see I've already got it set up. I have played with this a little bit. So one of the things that I do need to mention, and that's pretty important for anybody that's going to try this, is this passive can only trigger once per turn. It's once per Ironclad turn. So actually I'm not going to heal with Apothecary to start. I'm going to go ahead and heal with Sethalia. So Sethalia is going to be healing this guy for 30,000, these guys for 4,000 each. It's going to be a big mess on the screen. You're probably not going to be able to follow this, but this should kill all the spiderlings. There you go. So it actually does do quite a bit of damage. Now, just to prove what I just said, this Ironclad has not taken his turn yet. So, if I heal him, nothing happens. I'm going to go ahead and heal with Apo. I'm not sure which of these Ironclads is which, actually, so we're going to figure that out. That's the one with the crit. Okay. This is the guy with the 91% crit. You saw all those crits light up. And from what I could see, they were about 9,000. Sethalia's heal should be up. I couldn't really even see damage there. Alright, now this one. Most of those hits were 5 and 6k. The crit was 12k, which I do believe is right in line with the crit damage. Let's do this again. Here we go, 6,000, 7,000 crits. So, crit rate does matter, crit damage does matter. And it's not on the healer that it matters, it's on the Ironclad. So, if you can pump crit rate and crit damage on Ironclad, it may even be more beneficial than adding more health. That's something we'd have to break the numbers down on, but it's actually pretty interesting to me. And again, this, by healing this Ironclad, I'm also healing each one of these by 20%. So I'm getting a little bit of extra damage there. You should see three damage numbers on each of these. Let me slow it down, just maybe that'll help. It didn't show, I think, because they died. Alright, I moved on to stage 7 here. Same affinity. see if we can track the damage a little bit better. It's still too hard to see. I did notice something interesting on the Apo, and hopefully we'll be able to see that here again in a second. All right, slowing it down. This should be about 12k. If it's not a 12k heal, that means it was a crit heal. So I'm going to try to watch both the damage and the heal. It was actually a 26k heal, which is more than twice what it should have healed for. So I think crit damage actually matters for Apothecary's heal as well. That's something I've always wondered. And it seems like now's a good time to figure that out. I have a feeling that, let's say we pump his crit damage to 200%. He's going to be healing for, it should be 12k. He's going to be healing for more like 36k. Cut that in half, it's 18. But then you run it through another crit damage multiplier, and it could be 3 times that, 2 times that, 3 times that. That's pretty healthy. That's a healthy amount of damage. And if you check this out right now, he's hitting 12Ks a lot, which is kind of confusing me. Sethalia should be hitting, or should be healing and hitting, just let's say twice as hard as Apothecary. And if she is, it's just barely true. So I'm actually really curious about this Apothecary crit damage thing that's going on here. Sometimes by playing around with things like this, you actually learn things that you didn't expect. For instance, both of these guys have immortal sets on. Well, one set each. And I want to do this way to show you immortal does trigger the passive. But what's interesting, passive triggered, okay? And passive works. What's interesting is this. I can then still, let's do it on this guy. I can still use the passive again. Now, I know why that is at this point because I've played around with it a little bit. But if I do this, if I try to use it again, same guy, that's a little bit deceptive because it was actually his passive that triggered. He got a 4k heal from her healing him. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. But what I've just learned is that the health from immortal gear is actually triggered at the end of the previous turn. Alright, Apothecary's going to use him. No blood burst from that heal there, because Apothecary healed him. Now, blood burst there, because nobody healed him on the previous turn. That blood burst does not count for this turn. So, if I had another chance to heal him, it would have hit. Is that making sense? I hope so. So Immortal Gear is not a bad idea on him. Because Immortal triggers at the end of the turn, it actually will not ever interfere with blood burst from a heal. I hope that makes sense. Alright guys, it became pretty evident that this is just about impossible to show you guys what's going on without screenshots. So I did take some screenshots here. Now on the spider, this is the one with the cruel gear. This is the one without. This is not a great example because this actually could be, that could be explained by RNG. If you look at some of these numbers, they vary, 10 to 20% pretty easily. And some of these are actually higher than some of these. But if you look at the spider itself, I think at least some of that is the ignore defense. It is much easier to see here. This is 10-1 normal, first hit. You can see the healing amount here, it's 86.56. We're doing 5K, 6, 6, almost 6K. So that's normal. This is hard mode. Same thing, 86.56 heal. You got 4.3, 5.6, almost 5. This is a non-crit for 3.3. Go up to brutal. You're down in the 4Ks. So 4, 3.2 non-crit, 5K, and 4.6 crit. So compare that to that, and you're seeing quite a big difference. The only thing that can really explain that difference is the armor. So armor matters. Affinity matters even more. It's just luck that these green guys did not take weak hits on these runs that I screenshot. But they do get weak hits quite often. So what have we learned about Ironclad? We learned that it is a fun mechanic, for sure. Taking a look at this, is 40,000 damage possible? Absolutely. It may actually be possible to go quite a bit higher than that. It is not pure damage, like I said, but for somebody like the clan boss has pretty low defense in general. So is this mechanic going to break the clan boss? No. You probably could use this on clan boss if you really wanted to, but you would have to really want to. In dungeons, it's absolutely worth playing around with. I don't think it's going to be really like a speed run comp. I can't really see that working, although it might. It might help you clear the waves really quick. It's hard to tell, but like I said, it's fun to play around with. And this is basically just a teaser video I am actually going to take this guy to 60 and see what I can do with him. Uh, Definitely learned some stuff about Apo tonight too, so that's good. And I don't know. This was overall just kind of fun to play with. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I will leave you guys with a couple more screenshots. The first one is Sethalia, healing for 32k, and you can clearly see the 3 hits on each spider and spiderling. The other one is Apothecary, one of his crit heals, healing for 24,000, I think, and you can see the damage. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you'd like to see anything else, let me know. Hopefully I'll have some more of these coming in the future. Talk to you later.